the Louisiana State Commissioner of Administration, Jay Dardenne, joining us for a little bit. Mr. Jay, welcome back. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Robert. Doing fine, thank you.
Governor John Bel Edwards, roundtable discussion broadcast statewide, radio and TV last night. Took about an hour, had a whole bunch of experts, state folks on. What's the blowback on that? What kind of feedback are you getting already, not only last night, but this morning?
Well, I hadn't gotten a whole lot of feedback, to be honest with you, this morning, but I know that the feedback is going to be that it was very informative. I mean, you had some folks on there who are working day and night to make sure the work of the state gets done in their respective areas, and that was really the purpose of last night, was to give people some comfort that things are being dealt with, and to obviously continue to send the message that people need to stay home wherever possible. They need to practice social distancing, and we're trying to bend this curve and stem the growth of the virus throughout the state.
Jay, you're in the war room every day. What are y'all talking about in terms of timetable for when we bend the curve? When do we get some light at the end of the tunnel? What's the hope?
There's a lot of hope, but I wish I had a specific answer for you. We don't have one. We don't know exactly how long this is going to last, and we're hoping that if we can effectively social distance and keep people at home, that we can stop the spread. Obviously, the spread is real in our state. It's real all over the country and all over the world, but it's going to be over at some point. We don't know when, and we have to prepare as best we can to reach a point where we can return to some semblance of normalcy, and things are going to be changing, obviously, but the sense I can tell you in what you're calling the war room is that there's a lot of confidence in what we're doing, and a lot of confidence in the governor and what he's doing to lead the state through this unprecedented crisis.
What are the signs you're looking for to see that we're making progress?
Well, I think the most important sign long term is going to be that we see fewer cases, obviously, being as a result of the testing that's going on. And at some point it's going to plateau, and that curve is going to level out, and that's what you've seen internationally in China and South Korea being the primary examples. We haven't seen it in any states in our country yet. I mean, we're hopefully moving toward that point, but this is a very critical week. This is going to be a week where you're going to see increased cases as testing ramps up and as the disease spreads. But again, the best way to stop it is to maintain distance and not to put people in a position where they can spread the virus.
One of the topics, there were a couple that caught my ear last night, but one of them I want to touch on, and you can comment on. As people are spending, a lot of people have lost their jobs or at least temporarily laid off, etc. And one of the topics last night was mental health help for the stresses, the added stresses that people are under at this time. I got to tell you, I thought that was the most interesting part. You?
Yeah, I thought it was too, and I thought the gentleman who was on did an excellent job of kind of explaining how he evaluates this. This is unprecedented for our country, and unfortunately, we in Louisiana are better experts than most in dealing with disasters, but they're usually geographically limited. They usually have a relatively short critical duration of a weather event, and then is a long recovery. This is so different because it affects literally the whole country, and it's paralyzed every state to some extent in varying degrees, and it's going to affect people's psyche and having to deal with the losses they're facing with not only the disease but losses of jobs, threats to their income, and what does the future hold. But we have to be optimistic as a people, and we have to be resilient as a people, as we've always been. And we're going to get through this. We're going to come out of this for the better. It's going to be a difficult challenge for us, but in the long term, Louisianians are going to be Louisianians, and we're going to come through. And when things settle down, I do think the economy is going to be in a position to be able to pick back up and to react appropriately.
Jay, how soon will unemployment checks be going out? What's the hope there?
Immediately, I hope, and I can't give you a specific date, but I can tell you that the folks at the Workforce Commission are literally working like crazy with assistance from other people. I mean, we're bringing other people in. We've gotten laptop computers and desktop computers to increase the workforce to deal with this unprecedented level of claims. And obviously, it's at a quantity that we've never seen before. I mean, dramatically more than we've ever had. We're going to get checks out as quickly as possible to people, and we're going to continue to work throughout this situation to make sure that folks who are entitled to that compensation are paid promptly and at a level that they're supposed to be paid.
How is the state handling those employees who are deemed non-essential? Are they still being paid, and how long can our state afford to do that?
Well, they are still being paid. In fact, I have a meeting soon after we complete this call with all the undersecretaries in state government, that is the people who deal with employees and deal with HR matters and what have you, to go over the rules that are in place. And it's a combination of rules enacted by the Civil Service Commission and as a result of the governor's proclamation. And all of it is overlaid by what the Senate ultimately does in Washington with the bill that the House passed. And that is going to provide some additional relief to the states, including Louisiana. We don't know what that final bill is going to look like, but it's going to provide us some financial relief. But now people who are working for the state are being paid. People who can work from home are working from home, maybe in some job that they're not normally doing. And a very limited number of people being asked to report to office buildings where they have to perform their work in that office setting to make payroll, for example, or do other various functions.
This may be into the weeds, but the money that may be coming to cities like New Orleans hard hit, we think Caddo Parish here has been hard hit, Shreveport. Will that money be funneled through the state first and then to the local entities, or how does that typically work, or do we not know yet?
There is no typical in this situation. We just don't know. Excuse me, and we'll have to wait and see what the bill does and how it's going to allocate resources. It wouldn't surprise me if it came to the state for distribution to locals, but that may not be the case ultimately. The state will receive a significant amount of money, I think, once that bill is finally enacted by Congress. And obviously we're also looking at the impact on the state budget, as we've talked about many times before, and that has been turned on its ear now as a result of this, and obviously state revenue is going to be adversely impacted by this whole event.